Welcome to this installment of sixth grade math. So today we are going to quickly review whole, integer, and rational numbers and work through those problems. So hopefully we remember that our whole numbers are our positive numbers. Whole numbers can only be positive, and they are what's called our counting numbers. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about how you learn to count in like pre-K or kindergarten. 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on. So those are our counting regular numbers. So the way they're going to try to trick you is they're going to add a decimal. So like if I had like 1.0, that decimal doesn't really count because it's still one whole. Okay, so whole numbers cannot have decimals or fractions. The other way they're going to try to trick you is if they write something like 10 over 2. So we know whole numbers can't have fractions, but 10 over 2, if we cowboy and horse that really equals 5. So really pay attention to the fractions when you are looking. Fractions don't automatically mean rational. If the top number is bigger, you need to divide it and see if it becomes a whole number. So remember to think about those. Next thing is integers. Integers are our negative counting numbers. So they're going to be negative. Again, no fractions or decimals. So like -1, -2, so on and so forth. The kind of tricky ones for those, again, if they put a decimal with a 0, so like -5.0, that is still a -5. So that can still be an integer. Or like with the fraction we talked about above, if they had -10 over 2, that is still -5. So that would still be considered an integer. So really check those fractions, especially if the top number is bigger. Okay, and then let's talk about rationals. So rationals are our positive or negative. They can be both. And those are the fractions and decimals. That's where all of our fractions and decimals fall. Fractions and decimals. But again, we got to be careful with those fractions. So our things could be like 1.2, -1.2, 1/4. So my top number is not bigger, so it's automatically going to be a rational. So anything like that. So I could do like 5/7. Okay. The next thing that a lot of people get tricked with is something that looks like this -1.2. It's negative, so they automatically think it's an integer, but it is still rational because it has a decimal. So let's use those strategies and let's go down here and look at this question. So it says, which graphic organizer correctly groups the following numbers? So let's go ahead and label. So 2.85. So if it has a decimal, it is automatically a rational. So that's going to go in my rational circle. So I can check, is that in my rational circle and all of my answer choices? Yes, it is. So that one is good to go. So the next one is -4. So it has a negative, so it is an integer. It also does not have a decimal, so it is still an integer. So is that in the correct spot in all my answer choices? Yes, it is. So I need to keep going. The next one is 8/2. So remember, my top number is bigger, so I need to cowboy and horse this. 8/2 is 8 divided by 2, and 8 goes into 2 4 times. So this is a tricky one. This is really 4 wholes. So this is a whole number. So that's the one they're trying to trick you on. So 8/2, and this one is in the whole numbers, so that is correct. On this one, this is where they tried to trick us because you think fraction is rational, but that really equals 4, so it's supposed to be in the whole numbers. So H is gone. Same thing for G, that should be in the whole numbers. And then in this one, again, it's in the correct spot. So now we're between F and J. Okay, and then the next one, again, they try to trick us. Some people think this is a negative, so it's an integer, but that decimal wins. So decimals automatically mean rational. So that has to go here. So again, they're trying to trick us because the negative thinks integer, but that decimal really means it should be rational. So this one has negative 1.7 in the correct place. So J is our answer there. So really pay attention to your decimals on negatives and your fractions. So now down here, you are going to use those strategies and show us what you can do.